Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is VJ with Powerplay Gaming, and oh boy, we just got a huge patch for Battlefield 1, and it is done actually quite a lot of the things that, for the most part, the community wanted. Now, we're going to go over all this, but first let me say, I just got off the plane. I was on the plane for about 6 hours between the last couple days. So I'm a little tired and I might drone on a little bit, but I'll try and make this a little bit fast so that it makes up and I can actually get some sleep for once. So, starting with the big changes, we'll go with one of the actual bigger ones that's going to have a lot of impact. In operations, they said that they thought the attackers were having a hard time and they wanted to do something to boost the attackers up. So in 64-player operation servers, your maximum tickets are increased from 150 to now 250. The amount of tickets regained from killing defenders that are in a sector goes up to 3. And the minimum ticket regained after you capture a sector goes up to 50. And also, in 40-player, maximum tickets goes up to 200. And same thing with you getting 3 tickets from defenders that are still in the old sector. And then for both the 64 and the 40-player variants, they slightly reduced the time it took to actually capture the flags, so that it gives the offense a little bit more of an advantage to push forward and, for the most part, make it past the first map. Because if you've played Operations, especially I forgot which one, the one with the Ottoman Empire in the desert, I think it's like Oil of the Sand, or I probably am completely wrong. That one, unless your team is extremely well coordinated, you are not getting past that first map. It's just downright impossible. But on to the next thing we have here. One of the biggest complaints in Conquest was the Suez map. It used to have only 3 attacking points for a full... this is a full Conquest large map, and it only has 3 points, and 2 of them you could capture from basically the same area. So they've switched that around. It now has 5 total capture points. There is an armored car for each team now in headquarters. They made it so that the capture points between, I believe it is what now is B and C, is just a little bit smaller, so you can't get them from inside of as many buildings as you could previously. And I believe that is about it on the Suez. I'm reading through my notes as we do this. Yeah, that looks to be Suez. The end of Suez here. So, one of the main things that actually people on Reddit and then the forums were talking about was when your current squad leader wasn't giving orders, there was no way to essentially do a squad leader mutiny like there was in the Battlefield 4. I believe it came out a couple months after release, where this one wasn't added in to begin with, but it is now in, which is wonderful. So essentially what it is 60 if you are in a squad and your leader does not have an order, what it will do is if you ask for a order to be given and 60 seconds goes by and the squad leader has not given an order, it will automatically bump you up to squad leader, and you now have control of ordering people around to certain places. So that is one of the the biggest complaints that I've seen, is just that some people weren't giving orders, and this is a great way to make it so that everyone is either to give orders, or you kind of just get booted out to play. A little bit of smaller things as I'm reading down my list here. You can now purchase battle packs. Whoop-de-doo. That's not all too important to me. Rent a server is live, but I saw a Reddit post a little bit earlier on the way home that it really was not up to snuff. That it was actually quite poor in quality compared to Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 3, which was considered the peak of the Rent-A-Server program. So that's a little unnerving. I'm hoping that's something that's going to be fixed in a future update. They have done a lot of smaller, not UI issues, but issues with dog tags not being unlocked correctly, or a lot of graphical settings like your resolution scales and some of the other stuff that is more on the PC side, which I don't play. I play Xbox, so I don't have to deal with that per se, thankfully. But there's a lot of small little fixes for PC. Now we get into the more affecting of just normal gameplay stuff. In terms of weapon balance, light machine guns are honestly kind of useless compared to most of the other classes. They get beaten out at all three of the different ranges against all three of the other classes. So there was a lot of speculation that there was going to be just a nice buff to them, to where they'd either be able to hit harder at closer range or better accuracy for distance, but not really all that much. It increased their suppression that they give, and increased the aimed accuracy when you're standing still, which doesn't really happen all that much. The Lewis gun and the Hoyt, however you say that gun name, both of their first shot recoil multipliers were brought down. The bar got a little bit more horizontal recoil, which isn't terrible, but it's could be worse. And then low weight variants actually had two little buffs to them. They gain accuracy faster during fire, and then they also added bipods to the bottom of them, so that'll hopefully encourage a little bit more bipoding and getting accurate shots that way. Now, let's see. Moving over to the assault, the Hellriegel overheats a little bit slower now, but it has more of a horizontal recoil, which horizontal recoil isn't the worst. It's easy. It's for the most part easy to manage. So that one's not too bad of a thing. It is nice that it overheats a little bit slower now, because you don't go through, I think it's like 35, 40 shots, and then you have to stop. So that is a wonderful thing. Over to the scout side, the MLE 1903, its reload time has been reduced. The deploy time of the 1903 and the M1912 has been sped up, which is, I don't really use snipers all that often, so it's not much to me, but it probably means a hell of a lot. Moving over to the gadget side, limpet mines, supports little fun anti-tank weapon, is now indestructible until they detonate. What it used to be is that, say, in bunkers of Monte Grappa, people would toss in a limpet mine, but someone else would have dynamite or an AT-nade or something else, and they'd be able to essentially blow it up and steal the limpet mine from the player who originally threw it. So that really wasn't much of a... I mean, that's a nice thing. That way it makes sure that basically if you throw your limpet mine, you're the only one that's going to get points from it. Let's see here. You have a couple more tripwire bombs for the gas and incendiary variants. I mean, I don't know that many people that use the tripwires, but hey, more power to you. And mortars. One of the, along with the asking for squad orders, mortars were one of the other ones that I saw a lot on Reddit that people were clearly aggravated by, because it is pretty, I mean, they were pretty damn good beforehand. What it is now is there's, instead of just holding down the fire button and mortars will keep going, there's two different modes you have. You have one where it shoots slow but accurate fire, and then the other which is rapid and inaccurate, which makes it so that you can't just spam 5 shots into one area and just clear out. So if you want to be able to just lay over an area, then you're going to go fast. But if you want to actually hit efficiently, you have to wait till the red dot shows up on your minimap, while using the mortar, and that will demonstrate that it is at 100% accuracy. Well, I say 100% accuracy, but it's like it is at maximum accuracy that you can get with the mortar. So that's a nice thing to see, is that those are going to get a little bit nerfed because, I mean, if you played on Forest or, some of the more infantry intensive areas, mortars just rule because they just take them from range and just take away everything. So that is a very nice thing that they got nerfed, but they did get the addition of being able to shoot smoke rounds, which that makes sense. I really like that. That is a wonderful thing. One of the things that I myself really like, because I like to fly a lot, is the AA has actually gotten a little bit of a nerf. The stationary AA cannons do less damage against planes and their parts now, and then the range of the AA truck is a little bit reduced to make it in line with where the stationary AA is, and it prevents just camping back in your spawn, basically. Now with planes, they also got a little bit of a buff. There was a couple different Rankin darts now have a bigger blast damage and radius. Scout rifles do less damage against plane parts. K-bullets deal more damage now, but that makes sense. And a couple other smaller little tweaks there just to try and make it so that they're a little bit more balanced overall. Now we are getting near the end of the list that I was able to pick out important stuff. I will be putting a link down to the patch notes, so if you wanted to go through the full thing, because I skipped over a lot. This was a huge update, so I skipped over a lot of it. But beyond what I've talked about, there's small bug fixes, slight audio fixes, little things with servers to make the performance work better, and then the rest of my list is all campaign stuff, which, while it's nice to see that they're actually paying attention to some of the campaign, doesn't affect the vast majority of players. But either way, I'm going to finally get some sleep here, because these plane rides the past couple days have been killing me. But either way, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.